On the night of April 26, 1986, an accident occurred at the Chernobyl NPP. The residents of Pripyat were evacuated only at noon on April 27th, about a day and a half after the accident. Despite this, educational institutions continued to function on April 26th. It was a normal day for them, and the next day, Pripyat was deserted. As it turned out, forever. And on one tragic day, school ended, the eternal vacation. On your screens, you can see how the classrooms of the Pripyat school look now, and I decided to bring the school back to life on April 26, 1986, the day of the accident. You're watching Project Prosperity. I'm Andriy Gupsa. Enjoy the show. So I applied a perspective grid to make the result as accurate as possible and started the restoration. I started the restoration with portraits. I'm not good with history, and I don't know any of the personalities in question. I can only say that these personalities are related to mathematics. But luckily, all the portraits are still in place, just a little old, and I had no trouble cleaning the dirt off them. Besides, to me, the more original elements remain, the more valuable the visualization turns out to be. Next, I moved on to restoring fragments of the walls and ceiling. I will correct the paint color later, but it will be more saturated than on the original panorama, as the paint has faded over time and used to be more saturated. And in general, all elements will be finalized throughout the project, so do not hurry to evaluate fragments of visualization before time. Then my partner made 3D models of desks and chairs by the example of those that are in the original, and I carefully began to put it into the project. Floor. Here is interesting. Textures of large fragments are not so easy to put in the project 360 degrees, and the texture of linoleum in panorama format I did not have. And to save time, instead of using 3D, I went to the trick. I downloaded a panorama with a large coverage of asphalt. And then I started converting that asphalt, would you believe it, into linoleum. Later I will add reflections, work on the light shading, and it will be a perfect linoleum. Of course, I didn't get this linoleum from the ceiling. The linoleum is easy to read in the original. Next, I restored the closet, but left the door for now, and continued restoring the walls. At this point, our rendering looks like this. Another element that was made in 3D is the window frames. However, they are different from the original, so I finalized them, adjusted them to those in this cabinet. The paint from the framing board is almost completely peeled off, but you can see that it was painted in the same color as the walls. After painting the chalkboard, I decided to paint the cabinet reflections on the linoleum. I love this step. It's easy to draw the reflections, but they make the picture look realistic. Let's see what we have now. I found an image of the sink on the internet. This sink matches the one that was in the classrooms of this school. I decided to draw the skirting board myself, based on the example of the ones I found in the Google panoramas of the Pripyat school. As you can see, it is very easy and quick to draw the baseboard, and it looks as realistic as possible. The next detail is the plafonds. In this study, they have not been preserved at all, but I found panoramas of other cabinets, from which I inferred their number, location, and appearance. I have made these plafonds solid for the time being. I'll divide them later. One of the most difficult questions for me was what kind of door stood here. In offices like this, they are all ripped out and nowhere stacked. But I found a video that was taken at the Pripyat school, and by the color in the footage, the door does match the color of the cabinet inside which the door was located. A few minutes, and it stood in its place. The teacher's desk is absent in the original, as well as in other classrooms. But in one of them there is one, and not just one. For some reason, all the teachers' desks were moved into one room. That's where I took it into the panorama. By the way, I still haven't told you, but this is the office of the great and mighty higher mathematics. I guessed this by recognizing the themes of the posters that are in the study. And of course, I'll add the posters in their places, and the places are easy enough to read on the original walls. Apparently, they've been hanging for a long time and have left framing marks. Well, having worked on the details, I present to your attention the school of Pripyat, which is thriving. Friends, I tried very hard creating this video. I wanted to make the most concentrated interesting. But still your help, reposts and subscriptions, if you are not subscribed, will not hurt because the work was done a lot. I was glad to enjoy your leisure time.